What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here for the topic that will never die: card trimming. Obviously, this has been a hot button issue for the last couple weeks now. Reared its ugly head again with the Otani over the weekend, off the heels of the Evan Mathis interview on Sports Card Nonsense. And let's be honest here, this is really nothing new. This has been going on forever. So what I wanted to chat about today, and this is not like an original thought. Other people have talked about stuff like this in the past. I think Wax Museum has mentioned this because he tracks a lot of this stuff kind of manually. And I want to get into the topic of how the manufacturers and the grading companies, and especially with Fanatics coming online, like if they really want to try to help out with this, and that's a big if, because this would not be easy, specifically on the manufacturing side of things. It would take a little bit of effort. I don't know how much effort it would be, and it would take cooperation between the grading companies, which, you know, for the betterment of the hobby would be great, but I don't know if they view it that way, at least the major ones, you know, the big four. So what am I kind of talking about here? A couple different things. One, it would be nice, you know, Fanatics, our new overlords, are coming. Why can't they hand out, and this would, I'm going to use old school physical terms here, but this would be like a digital PDF that they would share with the grading companies and maybe the hobby at large at some point in time. But why is there not like a Bible for each set that releases that shows a high-res scan of every numbered card, RPA, on-card auto, whatever the case might be? Now, this would be limited to serial numbered stuff. So this is not going to fully encompass everything, but let's be honest, in most cases, those are the most valuable cards. So essentially any numbered card would get scanned front and back, front at minimum, but ideally front and back, and would go into this digital Bible that then Fanatics could distribute out to the grading companies. So when a Drew Jones gold rookie refractor first Bowman auto comes across the grader's desk, they could fire that into this database and it would pull up exactly what that card looked like off the line. That would include, in this case, the autograph. You know, there was that whole stuff with the Soto autograph being touched up a little bit, little streak getting removed off of it. So they would be able to tell if the auto has been altered, if anything's been trimmed off of it, you know, compare it to the serial number, whole 9 yards. Now, this is a big ask, and I don't even know how feasible this is because one of the things that I have no knowledge on at all is the card manufacturing process, if something like this is even humanly possible. I'm sure it's possible, but are they willing to do it? Because you would have to do it with every single numbered card, and we all know now with the amount of parallels coming out, it would be astronomical. From a patch perspective, an RPA perspective, and I think this is something that Wax Museum has talked about a bunch over the years because he tracks this stuff, it would help with patch swapping. So even if you started there and worked your way down, you know, maybe you start with the high-end products initially for your flawlesses, your NTs, or whatever, Topps Dynasty, because we're talking Fanatics land. Started with that stuff and worked your way down and eventually blew it out to larger products. Or, you know, maybe it's only certain levels of numbered cards, 100 and less, you go with that first or something. I don't know. But something is better than what we have now, which is nothing. In addition to this, so that's Fanatics' lift on all of this, to give that information out. And like I said, initially, if they want to just release it to the grading companies, and then maybe six months into the product release or a month in, they release it to the masses. Because I get it, you know, maybe you want some of the surprise factor for how the patches look and stuff like that. That's fine. So, but after a month, I think you could reasonably release that to the public, throw it up on your website, and anyone could click on it at any time and search it and go back and view exactly what Victor Wembanyama Topps Dynasty RPA number 50 out of 99 look like. What did the auto look like? What did the corners and edges look like? What did the patch look like? At minimum, the high-end stuff should have something like that. Part 2. Let's talk about the grading companies. Their in my opinion, should be a shared database. Now, you could say it's the pop report, but there's not images on everything. There should be a shared database for high-end numbered cards at minimum. Once again, start at the top and kind of filter your way down again. So, for example, we'll use the Ohtani as one. When Beckett graded that, they would add that to, and this doesn't have to be public. Even if this is internally with the different grading companies, fine. Ideally, it would be public for anyone to look at. But at minimum, have it as an in-house thing between Beckett, PSA, SGC, and CSG/CGC. And they could, when Beckett grades that Ohtani 12 out of 76 or whatever the hell it is, they would upload it to the database. And they would say, cool, hey, the Ohtani 2018 Topps Update Independence Day 12 out of 76, graded a BGS 9. Here is a scan front and back of that card. All right, cool. When it comes across PSA's desk, they could search for that card in the database and see, oh, Beckett graded this a BGS 9. Cool. Maybe it would still be a 10 with us. Let's take a look at it. Maybe we don't agree with their opinion. Oh, wait, this corner looks completely different. Wonder what happened here. And then they could catch it there as a trimmed card and slab it up as, authentic, altered, or whatever they want to do with it. Once again, this would involve cooperation between the different grading companies and also the construction of some sort of database that they would all have to chip into. Now, let's be honest, a lot of this is sunshine, kittens, and rainbows. I doubt most of this stuff would happen. It would be nice if they truly wanted to crack down on the problem. That's a way that you could do it. Because as good as the grading companies are, or as bad as the grading companies are, in any walk of life, anytime there is money to be made, the bad guys will try to outsmart the good guys. And in some cases, they're going to be a step ahead of the grading companies. And in some cases, they're going to be a step behind the grading companies. It's always going to be this back and forth. One adapts, then the other one adapts, then the other one adapts, and then the other one adapts. And they flip-flop back and forth in regards to catching this stuff and or slipping this stuff through. There was a lot of comments on that video about, oh, how could PSA let this happen? This, that, the other thing. Take PSA out of it. This could have happened with any single grading company. I get PSA's an easy whipping boy and an easy target because they're the biggest, baddest, evil empire in the world. Sure, 100%. And don't get me wrong, they do a ton of stuff wrong that we all don't like. But to think that this is a PSA-specific problem, let's get real here. A lot of people were saying, well, why didn't PSA search the sales history of that? Let me tell you something. None of the grading companies that I am aware of are searching sold history and looking up older versions of a card before they're grading it. Would we all like them to? Sure. Do they? No. Are they going to? Probably not. It just is what it is. That old hashtag grading is an opinion thing. So if they truly want to crack down on it, these are a couple ways that can help. Fanatics can help by giving the grading companies a Bible. In all honesty, that would help with a lot of it, at least going forward. Now, backwards is a whole different story. That's where the shared grading company database comes into it for the stuff pre this book coming out from Fanatics, for lack of a better term, that would show the grading companies and, the consumers exactly what at least the higher end numbered cards look like. You're not going to get every single card out of there. And could trimming still run amok, doctoring, altering, whatever you want to call it, on the lower end stuff or the non-numbered stuff? There are some very valuable non-numbered cards out there. Absolutely. And it wouldn't stop that. It would just shift the focus, but at least this would help a little bit. Imagine if we had a document from Upper Deck that laid out exactly what every exquisite LeBron RPA looked like. How handy would that be? And I think on that higher end product specifically, that should not be that difficult. That stuff's hand packed anyway. So you could easily lay out all the cards, scan them, and then upload that to a shared space. I think that is more realistic, at least on higher end products, than the grading companies having a shared database between them. Because the problem is with just relying off the pop report is you don't always have an image. Now, PSA is imaging everything now, so technically you could do that. But, you have to search through each individual one. It doesn't list the individual serial number on the pop report. There's problems with that. That could be cleaned up to be more efficient for a grading company diving in there and saying, show me this very specific card. Has this card ever been graded? Has a 2018 Topps Update Ohtani number 12 out of 75 ever been graded by any of the 4 major grading companies? Oh, look, it was in an SGC 8.5 slab. It was in a Beckett 9 slab. And now it's in a PSA 10 slab. And they're all dated on the date that they were graded. So you could see the history on it. And then maybe internally on the grading companies, you could put who submitted it if you really wanted to get crazy. Now with the use of group submitters, that gets a little bit tricky. But there are things that they could do, but it involves them working together. And that's, to me, is the tricky part. I think baseline Fanatics, or, you know, the manufacturers in general, we can expand this out to Upper Deck and Panini, handing out a air quote book for minimum high-end stuff showing every card would help a lot. I don't really know why that's not done anyway. So that's my thoughts. That's my comments. Is it fixable? Not 100%. It never will be. Can you make it a little bit more difficult? Yeah, we can. It's going to take work from the powers that be, and I don't know that they want to put the work in. Time will tell. We'll see what happens, if anything. Or does what happened in the comic book world and the mindset shift? This is a topic for a different video. Does it just become accepted at some point in time? There are certain things that you still can't do in the comic book world. It will cause a purple label, and no one wants a purple label. It's a death sentence on a graded comic book. But there are certain things that they allow you to do to a collectible that you could not do in the card world. And a big part of the reason why that they decided to do it, and they actually turned it into a business, they offer the clean and pressing services themselves now, is because they couldn't detect it. They were having problems detecting it because there's nothing to detect. So they just said, all right, hey, more power to you, have at it, and guess what? We'll offer it as a business. That's what happened in comics. Like I said, you still can't trim a comic, you can't add new staples to it. You know, there's still certain things that you can't do that rise to a different level, but some of the lower end stuff you can. So curious for your thoughts and comments, as always, down below. We will catch you boys and girls on the next one. Peace.